Hello, everybody. Welcome to this very special interview. We first had JT, but now we turn to the man who is taking us to Europe, our supreme leader, Stuart Fuller. Stuart, how are you? And you said you're up in Scotland recently, so
Yeah,
how was that?
morning, Stan. Hi, everybody. I'm back here in London. Yeah, had a couple of days up in Scotland for work. Also had a meeting with someone from the Scottish FA and from their supporters direct up there. Got to a couple of games. Went and saw Queen's Park at their new grounds, and went all the way out to Peterhead and saw them play in a League Cup game on Wednesday. But now very much back to earth and looking forward to Maidstone away on tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I've kind of switched off a bit for pre-season because it's kind of like the time away from all the madness from August till April. So yeah, it's a kind of a bit of opportunity to do other things. But it was good going to Whitstable, to be fair.
Yeah,
Nice little town, and it's good to kind of check out the players. But I kind of like the whole sort of excitement of the first day, like kind of, bit of sort of you're not really knowing what you're going to get in a way with the first
yeah,
day. So yeah.
yeah. This is we don't get much of a downtime, sort of behind the scenes. The end of the season, we probably have a week or so, which is our sort of time to relax and reflect. But then after that, it's really full on.
Mm,
It's sort of really full on until you get to the first pre-season, which is third week of June, and then you have all the 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 mechanics around players coming and going, and trying to figure out friendlies and logistics of kit and things like that. And
mm.
actually, once you get over that first game of the season, you can that's when you can sort of have the little okay and breathe. Let's just relax for a minute,
Yeah.
take in where we are. Um, yeah,
Unless you lose
it's
5-0 on the opening day.
yeah, and then you have another set of worries. Yeah, which
Yeah.
fortunately, touch wood, that hasn't happened to us. Certainly in my time involved at the club.
Mm.
Yeah,
No, I remember my the season after QPR stayed up, there was like all this optimism thinking, oh, we might be making Europe under Mark Hughes, and made all these big signings, and it was our first game of the season at home to Swansea, and we lost 5-0. So that always sticks in my mind with first day games. So
yeah. I mean, what I would say is I do remember when we had Steve Brown in charge the summer he was there, and he built a really really good on paper and on the pitch a really good young side.
mm,
And I think I'm right in saying we won every single preseason game.
yeah.
We looked really really good. I think we drew with Brighton. I think we drew in there with Brighton. I think it was Sammy Hippier's first game in charge.
Oh, I went to that game. Yeah.
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 And first game of the season, Leatherhead away. 20 minutes in, we're 2-0 down. We've had to replace our goalkeeper who's gone off with concussion. And we've got I think he might be 16, maybe 17-year-old in goal. And we lost 3-0. And it didn't get much better after that for the next few months until Steve left and we replaced him with Darren.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we don't get that
Yeah, yeah,
with in the next few weeks. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. I'm really looking forward to the Craig game. I just think it's going to be it's good. It'll be good to be back. To be honest,
yeah,
back to
yeah.
the routine. My first question is basically probably the biggest news like for a long time. It's just basically how on earth did you manage to get us into Europe, and how long did the process take, and how hard was it to keep quiet as well?
Um, so I'd been aware of the tournament. I was very aware of it last year because of the finals being in Milan. So you had the semi-finals in the Arena Civica, which is always a ground I've wanted to go to. And then obviously the final in the San Siro, and you think, wow, I mean, how on earth do they pull that off?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great to be involved in that? And then completely out of the blue, there's a guy called Tom Reid who runs the website Terrace Edition. And I'd done a few bits for Tom, you know, we'd chatted about a few things. And then out of the blue, he said, I hear that the organisers of the tournament are looking to expand it a little bit next year. And they'd really be keen for another English club to be involved. Would you be up for having a chat with them? So I was like, well, yeah. So I spoke at length with Adrian at FC United. We've got good relationships with FC United. They were really helpful for us when we did the whole the move into community 12 years ago. Spoke to them, understood a little bit more about the tournament, how it worked, the finances behind it, and he couldn't have been more helpful. I mean, you know, to a point where he sent us their profit and loss from, you know, their statements, their budgets for the tournament. And so I looked at that. I then spoke to another guy called Leo, who is the main organizer. He was the chairman of Brera, who were the team that played in it the last couple of years, based in Milan. And tried to work out how it would work. I then prepared, you know, what I think is a realistic budget for it. And I hadn't really mentioned it to many people on the board, only sort of maybe John and Ed Briggs at the time. And then I took it to the board.
So what stage are we at here now? Like what month would you say? Like...
probably end of June.
Oh, okay, right.
I remember the first conversation I had with the organisers was at our first pre-season training, the first Saturday. So that would have been right at the end of June.
Oh, right, okay.
So it was, you know, it happened relatively quick.
Yeah.
So I prepared a full paper for the board. A few questions came back, answered those questions, continued the discussions, had conversations with the Sussex FA, the Isthmian League, the FA, because we need permission to play in it. And then, yeah, we said yes. And I then joined a conversation with all of the other 12 clubs. So, you know, I've been aware of who those 12 clubs are, and I'm aware that we're recording this at the moment. When's this going out, Stan?
Probably next week.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So they've announced 11 clubs. So Enfield Town, interestingly, are also in it.
That was announced yesterday, wasn't it?
That was announced yesterday. The final team is FC Oslo. So that's going to be announced tonight. So obviously that hence.
Okay, yeah, that'll be in time.
And to us, it's, you know, the tournament is really focused on clubs that have a real community purpose. So us and FC United and Enfield are all fan owned. We all do a lot of stuff in the community, so that will be really great. I think the biggest question that I wanted to know from FC United was the standard. What, you know, obviously we don't want to be going abroad and getting thumped, and likewise we don't want to be going abroad and thumping teams. It's not really good for them. And their view was that, you know, teams are stronger at home for obvious reasons, but actually the standard was pretty similar. FC United were disappointed. They won the first season. They were disappointed to have lost in the semi-finals last year. They lost by, I think, 3-2, and they felt that it was, you know, pretty standard to the way we're playing at the moment. So I thought, from that point of view, you know, this is a really good experience for us as a club, and it's a really good experience for the players and the management team, because, you know, our ambitions is to play higher. So therefore, the higher you go, the more you have to concentrate on logistics, getting things right on and off the pitch. And for us, this is a good opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And it's also really exciting for fans. You know, whilst we don't necessarily travel in massive numbers, you know, I would say on a good day, there's probably about, you know, 6 or 7% of our home crowd would go away. Potentially, depending on who we're playing, and we find that out tomorrow, there could be some really interesting trips there. Really interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait, honestly. Like, obviously, I've been trying to guess for a while what it was and had no idea up until the announcement, and still it feels, you know, surreal, because, like, not many teams get the opportunity to go on a European tour. So yeah, it's incredible. And I think all of my group are already sort of planning about what like where we want to go and so where we're hoping to go. That kind of leads me on to my next question on what sort of key information you can give about the tournament, because I keep getting asked like all these questions about when when's it going to be played. It's just the kind of like the components of it.
Sure.
Basically.
So there's 4 groups of 3 teams, and in each group you play each other home and away. So we'll play 4 group games. Okay. Depending on who we are drawn with. So the original plan, when we first started talking to the organisers, 𝗖𝗄𝗏 were actually going to take part, and for a number of reasons, 𝗖𝗏𝗏 aren't taking part. But 𝗖𝗏𝗏 would have been 𝗖𝗏𝗏, Prague, FC United, and 𝗔𝐿𝐵 got to the semi-finals. So the idea was that each one of those would be seeded, and each one of those would be, one of the teams in the group. So we knew that we would be playing one of those 4. Take away FC United because they don't want us to be playing Enfield or FC United. So we knew that, potentially we'd get 𝗖𝗏𝗏, Prague, or 𝐋𝐞𝐜𝐫 from Copenhagen. Now, obviously, 𝗖𝗏𝗏 aren't in it, so we don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But what we have got is we've got a team from Finland and we've got a team from Norway. Now, the challenge there is, obviously, those guys don't play from October till March. Because obviously the weather. So, in Norway, their season starts in March. I think Finland is something similar. So we have to think about, okay, how do we play those games? And how do we, what do we do in terms of, sorry, and I'll go back, and Denmark is slightly similar. Their break is slightly shorter.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons potentially why 𝗔𝐿𝐵 did so well last year and won the tournament was it was relatively early in their season. So the players are fresher and things like that. So our plan will be that we've got to play 4 games, 2 at home, 2 away. We would look to try and start playing those games probably 1 in November, and maybe then 1 February, March, April, depending on who we are playing. And I think that's the key thing. If it's, if we're playing the team from France or the team from Belgium, potentially we could play that in December or in January. But we just need to figure out when that's going to be.
Okay.
The organisers ideally want to try and make sure there's not more than 1 game happening on a particular day. And the reason for that is because they're planning to stream all the games.
Oh, okay.
So through the YouTube channel. So again, that would be quite interesting as well. So there's a fair bit of logistics that will have to happen after the draw is made. I don't think that people will know the fixtures though, probably for a couple of months. Just to give you an idea, because the other thing we've got to be mindful of is if we come out tomorrow and say, hey, we're playing Paris and we're going to play them on the 17th of October, then if we haven't sorted out our travel arrangements, then what could happen is all of a sudden the cost of the travel arrangements, perhaps not to Paris because it's a popular destination, but somewhere else goes through the roof, and because all the fans are booked, whereas we haven't sorted out our travel.
Yeah.
But the other question that I think a lot of people have been asking is about budgets and how's this funded. So
yeah,
the core thing about the playing budget is it's a weekly playing budget. So if we play 2 games in a week, so if we play on a Tuesday and a Saturday, the players get paid exactly the same as if we only played on the Saturday, or even if we don't play at all. So adding 4 midweek games doesn't put anything more onto the playing budget.